Reimagining Success, episode 33. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hello there, and thank you for joining me again. So last week, we started to consider whether or not you should quit your corporate job. We looked at where the so-called 9 to 5 came from, what's wrong with it, including how unproductive it actually is, the stress and burnout it can cause, and of course the lack of flexibility, and what the alternatives to that 9 to 5 might be. We also recognise that it's not as simple as, well, hey, boom, quit your job, and that's it for the rest of your life. And there are all sorts of things that might make you say, yes, that all sounds great, Anna, but... and there are lots of reasons why you think this won't work for you. And here's the thing. Most of you listening right now are never going to quit your corporate job. And maybe you're now protesting and saying, Anna, I am going to do it. I'm just waiting for. So, when you get that promotion or salary increase, when you have kids, when your kids are older, when you've saved enough, when X, Y, Z, whatever thing it is that you're telling yourself that you're waiting for. But be honest with yourself, are you really going to take that leap when that, whatever it is, X, Y, Z happens? Or don't you think there's just going to be one more excuse, one more, I'll do it when, so that you'll actually be procrastinating indefinitely? The reality is there's never going to be a good time. So if you don't do it now, and by the way, as a parenthesis, when I say do it, I don't mean actually shouting, I quit at your boss and throwing your stuff in the bin and walking out the building. I mean to begin to start thinking about how you might go about it, what you want to do, begin to plan and so on. So I'm really not talking about recklessly quitting, but rather beginning to consider actually how you're going to do it. So if you don't do that now, you're likely never going to do it at all. Now, okay, why are you not going to quit your job even though you want to? Well, there are bound to be lots of individual reasons and explanations for why you're not doing anything about this right now. And I'm sure you'll tell me, oh, but you don't understand. I have this really unique situation, and whatever it is in your case. Now, I completely respect that, and I'm sure you do have very particular situation. We're all very individual and different. However, in my experience, there are also some very consistent themes as to what's keeping people stuck in their corporate jobs, even as they are fantasizing about the possibilities that might be out there. So I just want to look briefly at some of those reasons, and they will include the following. You assume it's not possible to do that, not possible to quit your job and start your own business because you can't afford it, you don't have the time, you don't have the skills, and so on. So you assume it's not possible, it's just not something that's for you, it's not the kind of thing you do, you're not entrepreneurial, you don't have the money, you don't have the time, and so on. Another reason is you actually don't know what you want to do instead, and so you stay where you are by default. And I think this is honestly the biggest reason why we stay stuck where we are. We just don't know what to do instead. So rather than spend time actually exploring that, we just stick to what we know, because we just have no idea. We become overwhelmed if we try to think about what it is we want to do instead. Speaking of being overwhelmed, you might also be getting stuck in analysis paralysis, trying to research and assess all the different options that are available to you. You might follow really bad advice from people around you who actually don't know what they're talking about, or, follow inspirational quotes on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, follow these gurus who are telling you to do things, and then actually it's not going to work out for you. Maybe you know that you do want to move, you know that you are going to quit or you want to quit, but you just don't know where to start and how to make it happen because, this is something that's very new and different. You've been in this corporate job, like I was at least up until 2013 for your entire career. So what on earth do you do when you want to go about thinking about what you want to do instead, planning that, saving money, calculating and so on, making the time, and not to mention all the things that come with actually setting up and running a business? Maybe, and let's be honest here, I know it's a bit harsh, but possibly you're not actually willing to put in the work that's required, both to find an alternative path in the first place and then to work really hard to make that alternative a reality. Because again, it's so much easier staying in your comfort zone, stay with what you know, don't get uncomfortable and address your fears, overcome those blocks and so on, and actually do the work both on yourself, your mindset, and concretely on actually, doing the marketing and audience building and so on for your business. And also, of course, fear of failure is a big one. So you're afraid of failing, whatever failure means, of course. And so instead you don't even try because it's just easy, again, to stay in that comfort zone, stay with what you know, and not to risk massive failure, making mistakes, being judged by other people and maybe ruining, your career prospects or your family life and so on because you don't have money anymore. Now, whether one of these reasons applies to you or all of these reasons apply to you, the result is going to be that you're stuck in a situation that you know you want to escape, and yet you're just not doing anything to change the situation. And in my experience, it's really no exaggeration to say that this can be soul destroying. I was in my corporate job from 2007 or so to 2013. It was a fantastic job on paper. I enjoyed it. I learned so much. I worked with incredible people and I have no regrets. However, it was very much disconnected from what I thought I wanted to be doing, and I wasn't doing anything about it. So for all those years, I was just telling myself and anyone else who would listen, I'm going to quit, I really want to be doing this other thing, but doing nothing about it, and that is horrible. It's all very well, and I applaud you, by the way, if you're listening, which probably you're not. If you're one of these people who loves your corporate job, probably you're not listening to this podcast. But if you are, then I'd encourage you to continue in that vein, enjoy it. Best of luck, and that's fantastic news for you. So, of course, I'm not trying to make you doubt your job that you really love and enjoy. But okay. You're wrong, maybe, you're telling me, because yes, I am going to do it. You're insisting, as I did, to yourself and anyone who's going to listen, that you definitely will take the leap and do your own thing. You're just waiting you're working on this, you're trying to do that. It will happen eventually. Now, unfortunately, even when you've decided, even when you've committed to actually doing something about it, to taking this leap, and you actually start taking action, there are still plenty of reasons why you won't actually leave your job. Because as I discovered myself after leaving in 2013, it's not just about that one-off decision to quit. It's all those little decisions. It's being courageous, not just once, but again and again and again over the weeks, months, years. And you have to keep working, keep pushing, keep taking those steps in the right direction. So there are still plenty of pitfalls, unfortunately, even after that first momentous decision to take the leap. So, for example, you might narrow down your choices too soon, limiting yourself to just a couple of alternatives because you assume that's all there is. So probably you had some thoughts in the past as to what you might want to do instead. Most likely they're very close to what you're doing now and you're not really thinking big enough. And so you either end up giving up because those alternatives aren't particularly appealing, or you pursue them and then you find that you're no better off because actually they're not meaningful goals for you. Or maybe you rush into action, you sign up to an expensive course, you send your CV to hundreds of companies before you've really worked out what it is that you want to do, and then you end up wasting both your money and your time on the wrong path. Or at the opposite end of the spectrum, maybe you take no action at all because, again, you're just in analysis paralysis. You're thinking, you're researching, you're weighing the pros and cons, and you never actually do anything about it. Maybe you decide what you want to do, but then you waste time and energy focusing the wrong things. So maybe you've decided you're working on this business, hustling away, following these gurus and so on, and yet you're never really making any real progress because you don't really have a clear strategy or even a vision of what you're trying to achieve. You don't have a solid, robust plan to achieve that. And finally, maybe you're stubbornly trying to do it all alone, as I was for some time as well, without asking for help. And help could be moral support from your friends or your partner. It's so important to have the loved ones in your life, the really important people in your life, and certainly your family, your close family and your partner, if you have one, on your side to support you. They need to understand. And of course, if you have children and so on, this is a decision to make together. But certainly it's incredibly valuable to have that support from your nearest and dearest. Or help maybe professional guidance from a coach, from a mentor, and so on. So if you try to do it all alone, you're probably going to feel isolated. And again, you end up giving up too soon. I cannot tell you how many people I've come across who have given up after sort of giving it a bit of the go. It didn't really work out. And then, oops, actually, I might as well just go back to my job, which is such a shame. Because the reality is, you really do need to, as I say, keep pushing, keep trying, and it will take time. It's completely possible, it's completely feasible, but it won't necessarily happen from that very first idea in those very first few weeks. So, okay, what if you really do want to quit? Well, if all of these pitfalls and obstacles are just making you all the more determined to commit to this decision, to work hard to make this happen, and above all, to prove me wrong, then good, fantastic, great news. That is the resolve that you are going to need to really shake things up, to get out of the comfort zone and take steps towards realizing your own career change. Because it is absolutely possible, as I said, to change your mindset, because a lot of this is mindset, to get clarity on what it is you want to do. And again, that is the hardest part of, I think, working out what you want to do, and to put the effort into the right priorities so that you have a clear vision that you're working towards and you're making progress towards that vision. But it is still not going to be easy. Of course, I don't need to tell you this, but there are some real concerns. I don't mean to poo-poo all these concerns that you have and the reasons and say that they're all excuses, because really there are some real concerns that you need to work on overcoming. And of course, those concerns will include the thorny issue of money. Can you afford to quit? What if the business fails? How are you going to pay your bills and so on? How are you even going to invest in this business? Pay for that coach or course or whatever it is you need to do. And aside from money, there's the modern day epidemic of being too busy, busyness, not having the time to make change happen, because you need to take that time, make space to really reflect on what it is you want to do, look at your values, the most important priorities in your life, your criteria, your parameters, and to actually, of course, make the business happen, first of all, and secondly, once it's happening, keep running it and so on. So if you're doing that alongside family, hobbies, staying fit and healthy and a full-time job, of course, that's another challenge. So time and money are definitely two of the big issues, alongside those fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, fear of being judged, and so on. So stay tuned in the coming weeks, because we're going to be looking at these very real obstacles and turning this into something positive, how you can really start planning how you're going to break all these obstacles down. Because here is to making you one of the few, one of the minority, but a growing minority, who actually is taking that leap and leaving the 9-to-5 for good. So again, as I said last week, I've always been a bit reluctant to jump on this bandwagon of quit your job, travel the world, make those 6 figures and so on. I hope my message is a bit more nuanced. Again, it's based on my own experience of leaving. And again, I certainly wasn't any kind of sort of risk-taking entrepreneurial type when I left back in 2013, far from it. So it's from my own experience, from my clients' experience, the 50 stories I've collected in my book, Leaving the Corporate 9-to-5, from the people I've connected with all around the world over the last few years. So again, this is not just my own little crazy idea that I'm having, but really rooted in my experience, my clients' experience, and all these many people I've worked with and talked to. So a little bit of a provocative topic this week. I did want to challenge you with a bit of a clickbaity title of why you'll never quit your corporate job. But the reality really is that the majority of people won't ever quit their job, and that's fine. And as long as you're one of the people, and again, probably you're not listening if that is you, as long as you're comfortable, happy, content in that comfort zone, and you actually don't want to quit your job, then that is amazing. Or maybe you've decided that, now really is not the right time. Put it to one side, enjoy your life as it is, and maybe revisit that decision later on. The worst thing, the most soul-destroying thing, again, is to actually want to leave, but not do anything about it. So don't be one of those people. So here's to you again, being one of the few, one of the brave, courageous, people who can swallow their ego, who can keep trying even though they're failing, within quotation marks, because it's not really failing in the end. Don't mind looking a bit foolish in the short term in order to really be able to work for their dreams in the long term. So hopefully, again, that provocative title is not the case. I'm really excited for you if this is something that you're committed to do. And again, we're really going to be breaking down those very real, but also very possible to break down, that's not very grammatically correct, goals and obstacles in the way of your goals as well. So hopefully not too negative. Hopefully you're fired up now to prove me wrong, to be one of those few. Again, we're a growing community. And speaking of community, I would love for you to join us over in the One Step Outside Facebook community, where we're digging into and, of course, working to overcome those blocks to help you start taking action and moving in the direction of your dreams. So thanks so much for listening. Again, we're continuing on this theme of leaving the corporate 9-to-5, looking at the things that can get in the way and breaking those down to really get you on the path of escaping the 9-to-5 once and for all. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Reimagining Success with Anna Lundberg. If you're looking for support and encouragement as you begin to reimagine success in your life, then come on over and join us in the One Step Outside Facebook group. You'll find like-minded people who will cheer you on, as well as free training sessions and lots more. To join, visit onestepoutside.com/community or just search for One Step Outside on Facebook. I'll see you over there.